This short film was made to coincide and celebrate the Fan Museum's 25th anniversary year. Since opening to the public back in 1991, the museum has staged over 60 exhibitions, achieved international acclaim, and contributed to a greater awareness and appreciation of the history of fans and craft of fan making. The story of how the museum came to fruition interweaves with a biography of one of the founders, Hélène Alexander, whose own story begins, somewhat appropriately, in a country known for its long association with fans.
Well, I was born into a wonderful family, getting on for 83 years ago, in Alexandria in Egypt. This was a time when Alexandria was still one of those wonderful multicultural places. It was totally cosmopolitan.
Her childhood she recalls fondly, citing her parents as being key figures who undoubtedly fostered her lifelong love affair with the arts.
I think that a great deal of love of culture rubbed off onto us all, but perhaps particularly on me, because I was attracted mostly to visual things.
Hélène's father, Victor Adder, was a renowned numismatist who, during his lifetime, assembled one of the world's greatest collections of ancient coins. One coin in particular resonates throughout this story, a link between the founder's heritage and the museum she would come to establish. Victor's favourite was a little silver coin, minted in 37 BC, and featuring on one side a striking portrait of Cleopatra, the last of Egypt's Ptolemaic rulers. Following her father's death, Hélène was able to purchase the coin at auction, and to this day it remains a keystone of the museum. Its image, set against a pair of Egyptian fans, forms the museum's logo. It wasn't until the 1970s that Hélène started to acquire fans in earnest, and from this point on, she became totally fascinated by fans of every type, but was particularly drawn to studying and collecting European fans.
Collecting is a complicating thing, and many people have written some very good and very interesting articles on collections and collecting, and the philosophy of collecting. It would seem to me that one is a little bit peculiar if one is a collector. One of the articles I remember reading said that men collected fans and women collected armour. However, I've done the contrary.
Throughout this time, her collection continued to grow at a rapid pace, and by the end of the decade, her collection was nearing 1,000 fans and fan leaves. The decision was taken in 1985 to set up the Fan Museum Trust, with the intention of founding the world's first museum dedicated solely to fans and fan making. It would be some years before the museum opened to the public.
I took a tiny office in Turnpin Lane, which leads on to the Greenwich Market. And this was dubbed by one of our volunteers the dungeon.
With regard to the founding of the museum and the vision, the director, Hélène, she had the wherewithal, the idea, very much supported by her husband on the financial side, but in my opinion, the most important thing was the courage. The courage that was needed to open a brand new museum, and one of the first of its kind in this country.
After a time, the Trust was able to secure numbers 10 and 12 Crooms Hill, Greenwich, and went about the painstaking process of renovating and converting the buildings from domestic dwellings to a unified museum space.
The buildings were in the most appalling condition. There was dry rot, wet rot, longhorn beetle in the roof. The walls were absolutely disgusting, but there was a lovely staircase in both houses with the sugar barley newels, and somehow the houses spoke to us.
The Grade 2 listed houses date from 1721 and were designed by architect John Savary. Although little is known about former residents, it recently came to light that toward the end of the 18th century, 12 Crooms Hill was the home of Admiral Sir William Parker, who is buried just a stone's throw away from the museum at the Church of St Alphege. Upon completion of the project's renovation phase in 1991, the museum finally opened to the public.
When it first opened, it was a most wonderful occasion, and I've got photographs to show it. And Dickie presented Helene with a lovely bouquet of roses, and we just came to work with Helene because she was such an inspiration to us. I don't think I've ever met anyone quite like her.
From the outset, the founders' vision was integral to the museum's success. They sought to create a place of great charm and elegance and cultivated an atmosphere redolent of times past, and in this respect, it is often the museum's intangible qualities that chime most with visitors, staff and volunteers alike.
I have always insisted on having a personal rapport of whoever is in the museum with our visitors, so that when our visitors come in, they're coming into perhaps a beautiful house.
I think the museum is unique for its for the exhibits and the whole concept of the fan, which usually surprises everyone that comes in, and they say exactly as I said when I first came in, my goodness, I didn't know a fan could say so many things and be such an item of beauty.
In each room and each section of display, there are different things to see. It's quite an intimate atmosphere, and people are always welcoming here. It's a very friendly atmosphere, and we love sharing knowledge and seeing people, and people love seeing what the Fan Museum provides.
The interesting thing is that people always seem to be amazed when they come here, because Fan Museum, you think, oh well, you know, what are fans? And then they come and they sort of see the beauty of everything, and they're amazed. And also, I think the most important thing about the museum, which has been here since I joined in '96, is the feel of the museum. It doesn't feel like a formal place to come and see a collection. It feels more like a sort of somebody's home, or, you know, minuscule, stately home, if you like. So I think that adds to the atmosphere, and that seems to be what people appreciate most of the time.
25 years after opening, the Fan Museum finds itself in remarkably robust shape. Visitor numbers are on the rise, and the diversity of the museum's collections, through a combination of generous bequests and acquisitioning, continues to strengthen. The anniversary year offers the perfect opportunity to reflect upon and celebrate the multiple achievements of this small but perfectly formed cultural gem.